All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insanely 13, as we are about to get underway here for Stint 2 out of 6 for TORA's 12 Hours of Sebring. Our first stint showed we had a walk-off winner in both categories, but the fight for second through fourth went down to quite literally the final moments. Sadly, we missed it on stream, but there was even a crash coming to the finish for second place in the GT category. But coming into this event, real quick, let's look over things. Chaos Fox will be taking over for Darkser in the dominant Toyota, followed by LMP Dragon, AFZ Cypher, TNR Blade, who is going back-to-back stints, EVR BL Streak. After that will be AFMG Vorm, Snowball 1, ESV Muzz, and AFZ Rottweilers 3. After that should be, I believe, JTS02 and TRT Recon. Excuse me. Give them just a little bit of time and they will go ahead and get the GT category organized here. There we are. So it's going to be Crazy Cowlin who will be starting first in the event. After that should be, I believe it's going to be, all right, it looks like it's Rockshock who's going to be starting second. Third will be Roken GTR. Fourth place will go to SPV Sergeant. Fifth will go to FFR Kelchan. Sixth will go to EVR Chris. Seventh will go to Chris Hokage. Eighth will go to UDP Valkyrie, who's another fellow commentator slash streamer for TORA sometimes. And then ninth and last in GTs will go to FLR Benidium. And that will be the lineup. We're going to take a Twitch mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Sebring. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Sebring. As the field is starting to roll, they are not going to do a full pace lap this time, so we're going to get to racing just a little bit earlier this time by. And it will be Chaos Fox leading, LMP Dragon, AFZ Cypher, TNR Blade, and EVR BL Streak to the green. In the bottom category will be Cowlin leading Rockshock and Roken GTR to the green flag. We should see them go green shortly after they go under the bridge that they're about to come up to. So it'll be a short, little, about like 2/3 of a straightaway run to a braking zone. And that will be the start of this. Can LMP Dragon do anything to Chaos Fox as we go green flag here at Sebring? Immediately, Dragon had a much better launch than Cypher, so Dragon can immediately start putting pressure on Chaos Fox. Looks to the inside. Is he going to go deep under braking? He'll go deep enough to deny the ideal lane to Chaos Fox. So Chaos Fox on the outside has plenty enough room to put the power down. He'll maintain the lead for the moment. No big problem there. Farther down the grid, though, I want to look at the rear of the GT category. This is Chris Hokage. This car had an accident in Stint 1, but rebounded to come home with a fifth place result. He's trying to make his way up to the grid right now, but there's already side-by-side action just a little bit up the road. Everyone trying to fit into their own little spot early on here, side-by-side between a pair of Chevrolets there. Here comes Chris Hokage trying to wrap it around the outside of a BMW. There's no room, has to back out of it once again. UDP Valkyrie in that car that came home second last stint is right there trying to get to the inside. Can't make it sit. No, that wasn't second. That was a different one. That was not the car that came home second. I apologize. But it is Crazy Cowlin leading Rock Shock, but not by much, because up the inside. And Cowlin's got it. No, Cowlin's got it. In the IARA machine. Cowlin takes the lead from the LMP team, and now LMP Rock Shock comes back around the outside, side by side, down the straightaway once again. But Rock Shock has superior straight line speed in that Chevrolet versus the Dodge. So American manufacturer versus American manufacturer. It is Roken GTR who's ranked third in the BMW. Meanwhile, in the prototype category, the rear is really falling off, but it is Chaos Fox, LMP Dragon, TNR Blade, and EVR BL Streak running first, second, third, and fourth. And it's a bit of a gap until you get to the first Bentley. That's Snowball 1. This is the Bentley that came home with the podium result in the last stint. Someone, it looks like JTSO2, may have had a bit of an off-track excursion there early on this lap, and they have a bit of transmission damage, I should say, as well. So not a great start for that BMW entry. Right now, the highest BMW is back here in Snowball. No, that's not BMW. The highest BMW is, come on, game. Well, we are more than a lap in, so I imagine that even if someone lagged out, it was Snowball who lagged out. We're not even 5 minutes in, and they immediately drop out. We'll try to reach out to Snowball, see if they have anything they want to say, but frustrating to see somebody drop out that early. Oh, and that's Valkyrie. No, not Valkyrie. That is Hokage, who just fell all the way down to last in the pink Porsche. So from one struggle stint to another. But yeah, the highest BMW is Blade, the same one that finished highest in the last stint as well. So now we're down to just 10 prototypes and 9 GTs at this point. It's still 1, 2, 3, 4, nose to tail, 2 Toyotas, 2 BMWs. Now a bit of a gap back to the highest Bentley at this stage of the event. Boy, the prototype category really spread out very quickly here. As opposed, the GT category has not had anywhere near the same amount of spread right now. But LMP Rock Shock has opened up a big gap early on Crazy Cowlin as he's vanishing into the distance. So it seems like LMP has the measure of the field for the GT cars in the C class right now. Blade finally muscles his way by LMP Dragon, and now EVR BL Streak is going to do the same thing. AFMD Vorm is closing in, and Chaos Fox is starting to scoot into the distance. Seems like Dragon is having a little bit more struggle with the car than his prior teammate was. He is starting to slip backwards. BMW's now run second and third right now, but Chaos Fox in the number 97 is picking up where Darkser left off. But I look back to the fight in the midfield in GT. This is SPV Sargent. Sargent, a Portuguese driver, having a little bit of trouble getting in. That was one of the reasons why this stint's running as far behind as it is. Just a little bit of hiccup trying to get him into the lobby here. Sargent's running just about in the perfect midfield spot in the GT drive cars right now. Here in that Chevrolet, second highest Chevrolet in the field right now. Just ahead of him is EVR Chris 17 and another one of the BMWs. This is the German flagged blue and white BMW. Then you have Roken GTR. His teammate C480 brought home a 4th place result in stint 1. Roken would love to do 1 place better, if not more, but he is nowhere near the leader. Although Crazy Cowlin is still within sight of Roken. If Roken can put things together right, it'll be interesting. We've been watching Roken in the PTG JGTC series. He has been driving the Dodge in that series. So seeing him in something that's not a Dodge is definitely a little bit unexpected. Not something that we would have anticipated, to say the least. But he'll know the strengths and weaknesses of the Dodge. If someone has to go up and fight these Dodges, Roken will have the knowledge of experience of knowing what the Dodges can do. He'll be in a good position to go up and take the fight to them here. But your leader by a significant margin already is LMP Rock Shock. So LMP looking to go back-to-back stints here. So at the head of the field, it is Chaos Fox, CR2. And then you have this pair of BMWs, TNR Blade and EVR BL Streak, trying to make something of it here. Real quickly, since we're still early in the stint, let's look at tire wear for the entire field and the prototypes. 29.3% here for Chaos Fox's most worn tire. I'll look at TNR Blade. It is 27%. Well, 28%. EVR BL Streak is at 29%, so they're burning through their tires a little bit more. LMP Dragon back here in the 4th spot. It is 30%, not looking great for their tire wear. Then you have AFMG Vorm in the highest Bentley, 31.8%. Then you have ESV Moose. It's weird to see an ESV driver so low in a category. He is running the medium tires. He's only at 20% right now. Then you have AFZ Rottweiler in another one of the Bentleys. His most worn tire is 20.4%. Then you have JTSO2, who went off early on in the stint. He is at 30.6%. AFZ Cypher, who is 9th in category right now, his most worn tire is at 19.8%, so he's definitely has the best tire wear right now. Then you have TRT Recon. Recon is at 22.5%, and that is your entire top category. Real quick, let's look down at the bottom category at their tire wear right now. LMP Rock Chalk, 32% right now, followed by Crazy Cowlin. In the Dutch Brothers IRA Dodge, 30% tire wear right now. Rokid, who runs 3rd in the BMW, 21.6%. So he is on a medium tires, we believe. Then you have EVR Chris just behind him. Chris is at 31.7% tire life. After that is SPV Sargent, the Portuguese driver. He is at 35% on his most worn tire, followed by FFR Kelchan. He is at 32.8% tire wear. After that is FLR Benindium. They are at 34% in the Porsche. Then Chris Hokage in the number 45 Apex machine that's been struggling, 35% tire wear. And last place on track is UDP Valkyrie right now. They're at 34.2%. And that gives you a look at everyone's tire life at this stage of the event. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad. No, we're not, because we may have a fight for a lead. Chaos Fox has been caught by TNR Blade. So we have a fight. Someone is finally taking some pressure. There's door-to-door contact between the BMW and the Toyota. And TNR Blade goes to the front. Oh, it's Blue Streak. Okay, I thought it was BL Streak. Okay, it's Blue Streak. I'll keep that in mind. That makes things a lot easier for me. But we have a fight at the front of the field now as Blade and Chaos Fox going at it. So while Chaos Fox opened up a nice little gap early on, the gap is already gone within 10 minutes, and we are immediately right back up to it. Straight line will work out well in favor for the number 97, but TNR Blade has a car that is fantastic in corners, on corner entry and on corner exit. The Thane is really going to be benefiting from running in the draft of the 97. Anytime the Chaos Fox slides a little bit wide, it's going to leave them open to attack here. AFMG Vorm has worked their way up into the 4th position, as Dragon has slipped all the way back to 5th in prototypes. So it's 1 Toyota, 2 BMWs, and a Bentley that make up the top 4 right now in prototypes. And they're about to come up to traffic here. This could get wacky. They'll be catching traffic going into the final quarter. All right, what can Chaos Fox do? What can Blade do? Fox on defense, Blade on offense. Down to the final corner, the most treacherous corner on the entire circuit. They come up behind UDP Valkyrie. Is there enough room? There's just enough room for him to go 3 wide, but it's Chaos Fox on the inside who has the advantage for now. No Satels as they go down the front straightaway. Now Blue Streak is there as well. Blue Streak is going to follow the 2 of them 3 wide again. The Chevrolets very nearly make contact right in the middle of the prototype fight as it rushes by. Already now, they have gotten by most, but not all of them. A little bit of contact between Chaos Fox and Blade. Chaos Fox comes right into the back of the Rokin's machine, holds him up a bit. Rokin ends up between Blue Streak and Blade, breaks that duo up, but Blade is still right there behind Chaos Fox. They're coming up now to Crazy Cowlin. They'll catch him in the braking zone here. Where does 97 go? 97 goes deep, but he leaves just enough of a room for Blade to follow suit. Blade couldn't capitalize, but Blade didn't really lose any time on Chaos Fox either. There's one more car left in traffic that they're going to have to deal with. That will be the leader in the bomb category, LMP Rockshock. They'll catch him momentarily here. And now we see Blue Streak has cleared GT traffic as well already. Prototype category traffic got very spread out. Oh, there's contact right into the right rear quarter panel of that Toyota. Gets Chaos Fox sideways, and here comes Blade to the outside. Neck and neck, side by side. Who goes deeper into braking? It should be Blade. And yes, Blade gets the lead. Was a little bit dirty, but he's got the lead back. What did the 97 do to fight back? Blade's held up there by Rockshock as they come into the back straightaway. Straight line speed advantage will go in Chaos Fox's favor. Chaos Fox going to the outside. Neck and neck again. Chaos outside. Blade on the inside. They've got Blue Streak right behind. Here comes AFMG Vorm. Contact. And Blade hit the inside wall. And he took Chaos Fox off with him. And now Vorm's up to second. And Blue Streak goes to the lead. But Vorm is not done yet. Vorm's coming to the outside. Blade back to the inside. 3 wide across the start finish line. Neck and neck and neck as they go into the Chevrolet bridge. Firing off in turn number 1. The Bentley goes deep. The Bentley is going to try and hold on to the lead, but can only do second. Blade goes back to the lead here at Sebring. Somehow, despite knocking the absolute bejeebus into the wall back there, Blade is continuing with no damage on the car, and now it is BMW 1-2, Blade and Blue Streak first and second on track. AFMG Vorm has put the Bentley up into the podium position much earlier than what we saw the Bentley get to the podium in the last stint, and then you have Chaos Fox has now slipped back to 4th. So it has been absolutely mad early on here. So now they come on down through Sector 2 once more. Now that the BMWs are out in front, they don't have to worry about any dirty air ahead. They can really maximize their cornering. But the big thing, though, is that TNR Blade and EVR Blue Streak, they are not teammates. They may both be in the same car, but they do have to fight each other on merit for position. So keep in mind on that. The other thing to consider, if someone wants to replicate Darkster's all-stop strategy, you're going to want to be pitting now because the soft tires can only take you about 15 minutes or so of running. You're gonna want to pit now if you can do so. Blade is absolutely gapping Blue Streak right now. Blue Streak just kind of holding on in second place, and with those tires already in the 61% range, I can't say I'm surprised. Blade's able to scoot away just a little bit with much better tire management. Here comes AFMG Vorm. Vorm wants back at it, but he's also got some worn tires. Not as worn as Blue Streak, though. I think Blue Streak has traded in straight line speed for tire life, basically. Or flip that. By the way, first comes in, second comes in, third comes in. In fact, the entire top 5 have all come in at the same time. ESV Muzz, does he come in? No. Muzz is going to stay out, so Muzz will be our third different leader here in about the first 16 laps of this event. JTS02 is going to stay out as well. What of Rottweilers? Does Rottweiler stay out? Rottweilers will stay out. It looks like AFZ Cypher is going to stay out, and TRT Recon will also stay out as well. LMP Rockshock picks out the lead in the bottom category, but Crazy Cowlin will stay out, so will Rokin. We do see, however, Chris pits, Kelchamp pits, Vanidium pits, Hokage pits, Valkyrie pits. Sargent has pitted as well. Sargent may have had some sort of accident because he is way off pace here. Well, no signs of accident, but he has pushed those tires too far, I would argue. So Cowlin and Rokin going long in the bottom category. Everyone else pitted early, but we have about half of the field in the top category pitted. Half of them stayed out, and it was the half that was all at the back of the grid. So these are all drivers trying to either make alternate strategies work, or these are drivers who just don't have a lot of sheer outright pace. So Muzz, JTS02, JTS is going to have to pit at the end of this lap. Those tires are just about cooked. Rottweilers, Cypher, Recon, all these drivers trying to work alternate strategies. Muzz and Rottweilers are on medium tires. We see Cypher here. He is on medium tires as well, we believe. And you have TRT Recon here. Last of the BMWs also on medium tires. But yeah, we're going to see JTS02 definitely pit at the end of this lap. But of everyone who did go ahead and pit, we have TNR Blade, who leads over with a massive margin right now over EVR Blue Streak. And then Blue Streak has opened up a bit of a gap on AFMG Vorm. Chaos Fox is now fourth out of these 5 drivers that have pitted, and then you have LMP Dragon just a little bit farther back as well. And now we see JTS02 going ahead and making his pit stop right now as anticipated. He'll likely fall to 10th, last in the category here. We look real quickly at our 2 leaders in the bottom category. This is Crazy Cowlin in the Dodge. We know that the Dodges are typically very good at saving tires, but they're at 63% tire life right now. I look at Roken. We know Roken is on the medium tires. I think he's the only driver in the bottom category to have thrown on medium tires. So we're likely going to see Cowlin go ahead, jump into the pit lane, and Roken will then inherit the lead in the bottom category. Well, ESV Muzz is your leader in prototypes here. And yep, there we are, Crazy Cowlin coming into the pits now. So ESV Muzz is your leader in prototypes. I don't usually get to cover races that have, or stints that have ESV drivers in them. Typically ESV drivers are limited on ESV teams in A class, but ESV Muzz is filling in for a different team. I believe he's filling in for the AFZ team, if what someone said in the commentary chat is correct. So Muzz doing a little bit of extra interesting duty here, trying to pull something interesting out of the hat. Normally, I think people would love to ride on board with an ESV driver, so that's what we're going to do as we're going to be coming up onto a Twitch mandated ad break here. We are going to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap with this Toyota, this number 223 machine of ESV Muzz. We will be back momentarily here at Sebring. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Sebring now. Your leader is ESV Muzz on an alternate strategy, but on the primary strategy, the one where you started the race on softs, your leader is still TNR Blade, followed by EVR Blue Streak and AFMD Vorm TRT Recon, who had been on the alternate strategy, starting on the mediums. He's now abandoned the strat. He has jumped onto the pit lane right now. But I look at Muzz right now. What tires is he on? He still has the mediums. He still has 58% left. I imagine he'll pit at the end of this lap. The same will likely be true for Rottweilers as well. He's got a little bit more tire life, but he'll likely pit at the end of this lap. And then you have AFZ Cypher back here. He's got 54%. He can actually stay out a little bit longer. Thing is that while he's doing a better job managing his tires, his speed just isn't there. That's the cutoff on TNR Blade, but Blade gets to the inside and immediately powers alongside. A little bit of contact, and more contact between the two of them. But Blade's by. And now it'll be Blue Streak who has to figure out a way by AFZ Cypher. Cypher can stay out for a while. Right on board with Blue Streak here as he's trying to figure out a way by that Toyota. trying to navigate traffic as well doesn't make things very easy, to say the least. Got him, though. And then we see Cypher goes off circuit, kind of loses the ground afterwards. So now in this second stint, it seems like the BMWs are just kind of in a zone of their own right now, just absolutely blitzing everything else at the moment. Gonna be interesting to see what Muzz and Rottweilers can do. Rottweilers will be the next driver that will get caught, and the thing is that Rottweilers is about to catch a huge chunk of GT traffic here. If the timing's not right and he catches them in the braking zone going into turn 1, it's really going to compromise him. That is a glut of cars, basically the entire rear of the field, and Muzz and Rottweiler say, no thank you, fam. We are not dealing with that. So here's this big glut of GT category traffic. Valkyrie, Kelchan, Hokage, so many drivers all on top of each other. Look at Blake trying to fire it up in the middle of there. He's going to go up the middle 3 wide, and he is through, but one of the dodges went off in the process. That was Valkyrie. Valkyrie is caught so off guard that they've gone off circuit, and again, we see this time it is the pink car of Hokage who went off circuit, being caught off guard by the prototype. Seems like all the GT drivers put their best, most prepared drivers in Stint 1, and these last ones that were not prepared for the difference in speed are here in Stint 2. They keep making mistakes, being surprised by the presence of prototype drivers. Okay, right now, only one driver has yet to make their first stop of the day. That is Roken GTR, as he is running around in the 11th position right now. But already you can see 60% wear on the rear, 61% on that left front. He doesn't have a lot of fuel left either, so he's going to be painting at the end of this lap. And when Roken pits, that will hand the lead of the stint over here to LMP Rockshock. But we're really interested to see where Roken is going to be in relation to Crazy Callan, the driver he had been fighting with, and EVR Chris, the driver who is currently second on the start on soft strategy that nearly the entire GT field committed to here. As the prototype field is still cutting their way right now through GT traffic. And yes, Roken has finally made it into the pit lane. But again, we want to see where is Roken going to be in relation to Chris and this driver we're watching right now. And then also Callan, who is a little bit farther back behind in that black Dodge from the IARA team. Roken's already coming out of the pits. Is he going to be ahead of Chris? That's the question. It does not look like it. Chris will be clear of Roken. What of Crazy Callan, who had went a lap longer than everyone else on those softs early? He is still behind Roken. He was ahead of Roken before, but now he is behind. But again, Crazy Callan trying to do a slight modification to the strategy that everyone else is doing, trying to sacrifice a bit of time early and then push a tire advantage to the end here. So Chris, Roken, and Crazy Callan all pretty much right on top of each other. Rubber will completely set in once you're at, well, we're at a nearly full field. So talking to the person in the chat who's asking how long will it take rubber to set in. So this may not be the most accurate thing, but from all the various leagues that I've run in and the ones that I've set up and the ones I've broadcasted, the lobby, I believe, is set to 50% rubber at the start. Rubbering in is turned on, and time progression is at 1x. If the information I've been running on is correct, and it seems to be pretty accurate based off of what I usually do in my series and the series that I've taken part in, on a 1x time progression, you add basically 1 to your rubber number with every lap that completes. So how long will it take for them to complete 50 laps, and that will get you to 100 rubber? I think a lap here is about 1 minute and 45 seconds roughly for the prototypes. So multiply that by 50. That's not quite 100 minutes. It's a little bit closer to like 95 minutes, something like that. So my guess is that you'll see the track being completely rubbered in the last 10 to 15 minutes. But I can't confirm or deny that that's going to actually be accurate here when we have a split category field. Most of the events that I run in are single category. And sometimes we'll get bigger fields like 16, 17 cars, but 20 cars is a little bit bigger than normal. So my information may be wrong. The track may get fully rubbered in a little faster than that. But based off of the information that I've had from my experiences, we can expect the track to be fully rubbered in with about 10 minutes before the end of the stint. So about 90 to 95 minutes into this. But again, I could be wrong, and the track could legitimately end up rubbering in faster than that. So, TNR Blade leads by a massive margin over EVR Blue Streak. Blue Streak is being pressured by AFMG Vorm right now. The highest of your Toyotas right now is Chaos Fox. CR2 in the number 97. Fifth place is LMP Dragon right now in the second highest of the Toyotas. So all three prototype manufacturers representing the top 5, or realistically the top 4. But we only have one Bentley there, and then the next highest Bentley is way down in 8th, running on an alternate strategy right now. In the bottom category, it is RockShox in the Chevy, scooting out to a big gap. Chris, in one of your BMWs, runs second. Another BMW in the form of Roken is third. These two are on alternate tire strategies right now. Chris started on the soft tires. He's trying to keep Roken behind him. His tires are already coming due, and he's got a bit of engine damage as well. I look at Roken, who's trying to make something happen here. He doesn't have engine damage. His tires are much fresher. Could Roken try and make something happen on an all-medium or majority-medium strategy? That is the question. And that will be an easy overtake by Roken. He knows that Chris has burned up the rubber, just can't really hold the lines very well. So Roken's like, I'll get on an alternate line and just give myself a better exit out of the corner. So with that in mind, Roken now goes back up into the second position. So it might end up being Roken versus RockShox on two wildly alternate strategies, but I'm going to be 100% honest. Between the two of them, I think RockShox is going to have Roken's number based on the looks of this right now. Chris is trying to come back on the outside. Roken's going to give him just enough room to say, hey, look, you had room. It's not like I'm squeezing you into the wall or anything, but you can visibly see, Chris just does not have the grip in those tires that he needs to take the fight right back to Roken the way he wants. He's already in the 51% range, and now his other tires are burning up at 50% as well. He's also got 0.2% in the engine, and look who's coming. It's another prototype car. Gonna give him a little bit of issue. I think that is AFC Cypher, isn't it? Yes, it is AFC Cypher, but he'll catch and blitz them on the straightaway, so he's not really gonna end up causing too much of a problem for that duo this time. TNR Blade, EVR Blue Streak, AFMG Vorm. Our top 3 are all pitting. Chaos Fox is going to join them. Does LMP Dragon join them? He does. What of JTS02? JTS02 is on the same strategy with a 1 lap delay. Does he stay out for a lap? He does. JTS02 stays out for a lap here. And will ever so briefly go back into the lead. Again, JTS02 sacrifice lap time early to try and get a slight tire advantage going forward. And then you'll have here the other driver keep an eye on, ESV Muzz. Muzz started on the medium tires. He is well, he's not way up behind. He's actually still ahead of TNR Blade. Could Muzz pull something out trying to go on a bunch of medium stints? Blade's going to have to run down Muzz and then overtake him. Now, Blade will have a tire advantage, but he's going to have to still get the elbows out and do a little bit of fighting here. I don't know if Blade's going to be able to catch Mud. I will say that everyone else who's still on the one stop, they're all still behind all the other drivers who've already done their second stop. So the likes of Rottweiler, Recon, Cypher, they just obviously don't have the outright pace and ability to make these alternate strategies work to fight for the overall win, or likely not even a podium. But it will be interesting seeing how things turn out between Muzz and Blade, because Blade, unlike in the last stint, Blade is not spending the entire time struggling. Blade has actually been solo for a big chunk of this. Muzz is also kind of like coming out of nowhere with a completely unique strategy, one we didn't really see have a lot of performance in the last, well, I shouldn't say we didn't see it. We did see some drivers trying something similar to it in the last stint, but I'm really interested to see how this is going to turn out because Blade's catching him now. Also, JTS, apparently he's going to go another lap longer for the second time in a row. So JTS is trying to push this tire life advantage and just eke out a little bit more and a little bit more every single circuit. Now, again, I don't know how good of a strategy that's going to be for JTS, but if he can keep adding one extra lap every time he's out there, potentially he'll either be able to cut out a tire stint, or he might end up, if he's not cutting out a pit stop, he might just end up being on significantly better tires near the very end of it. Here's your side-by-side. A little bit of door banging between the two of them, but for now, Muzz is able to keep Blade behind, but Blade just crosses him over on corner exit and immediately shoots forward. The BMWs can turn on a dime. Now, in the medium-speed corners, when you need more power, that's not the greatest move, but right there out of that corner, it's a perfect place to go because, sure, you don't have a lot of power, but your rivals don't really have a lot of power either. Reminder, that Toyota TS020, that's a turbocharged V8. Takes a little bit of time to spin up the power. The BMW and a naturally aspirated V12 can just go right off the gate off of a very, very small corner, not small corner, very short, slow corner. It's on the bigger corners where the Toyota is maintaining some of its power where it's a little bit more of an issue. But Blade now has disposed of Muzz, and I don't think Muzz is going to be close enough to really do anything to fight back against Blade, but he doesn't necessarily have to. They are on alternate pit stop strategies, trying to make different pit stop strategies work. I think Blade's not a superior strategy. I think the fact that the BMW is really good on saving tires because it doesn't have nearly as high of a top end is going to work in his favor as well. JTS02 has now gone 2 laps ahead of the other drivers who are doing the all-stop strategy. So again, keep an eye on JTS02 as this glut of prototypes goes through another glut of GTs. Rockshock has gone ahead and made his second stop, so this is giving the lead back over to Roken here. Crazy Cowlin still is third, SPV Sargent is fourth, and then fifth is EVR Chris, just behind him. Just a little bit behind him, I should say. Then you have Blanindium, Kelchan, and Valkyrie. These three all right on top of each other. That was a little glut of cars we saw earlier. We got a Porsche, a Chevrolet, and a Dodge in this mess of cars. Then you have, way out by himself, at the very back of the grid, it is Chris Hokage 20 in the pink Porsche right now. So we're in a little bit of a calmer period. Not super calm, but a little bit calmer right now. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap with Roken in the BMW. See what a flying lap is like in one of the BMWs here at Sebring. We'll be back momentarily. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll welcome you back here to Sebring. There's a bit of a technical issue on my end. I do apologize. Your leader in prototypes is still TNR Blade, and on the soft tires, he's continuing to open up a larger and larger gap on ESV Muzz right now. It's not massively larger, but he is adding a few feet to it pretty much in every sector, and it's just going to continue to build and build and build, but they're on alternate strategies, so we've got a classic strategy battle going on here. After that is EVR Blue Streak. Blue Streak was up there with Blade early on, but however, the pace has dropped off a little bit. We'll keep an eye on Blue Streak, but I have to wonder if maybe they've gone ahead and jumped onto an alternate strategy now. Real quickly, let's do a little bit of a tire comparison between Blue Streak and Blade. Blue Streak's at 35% on the tires right now. Blade, who is leading, is currently at 35% as well. So it looks like they're pretty much even on tires. If not, Blade has a very slight advantage. So it looks like they're still on the same strat right now. It looks like Blue Streak has just kind of built up just a little bit. Well, Blue Streak has built up a little bit of a problem when it comes to the tire life. It's not able to match Blades on it. That coupled with not quite having the pace over the long run might be enough to take Blue Streak out of contention for the Stint win. Podium could still be uncharged though, because fourth place in prototype is AFMG Vorm. Vorm did a good job fighting their way up into the podium positions, running third overall on the main strategy. I don't know if Vorm's going to be able to catch Blue Streak again between now and the end of the tire stint they're currently in, let alone the stint as a whole. We still have about an hour left, so still a lot of ball to play, as they like to say. Chaos Fox started up front, led with a big gap in the first earlier laps, but was eventually caught by Blade. He's just been falling downwards through the grid. Now Chaos Fox has been caught by LMP Dragon, so it looks like it's going to be some Toyota onto Toyota action here for the 5th position here. Reminder, there is the other Toyota of ESV Muzz out there running in the 2nd spot. Then you have AFZ Rottweilers. He is on the same strategy as Muzz, trying to go along on the medium tires. However, Rottweilers in this Bentley doesn't seem to have quite as much of a outright pace difference compared to what ESV Muzz has. So while it's not an awful decision, I don't know how well it's going to work. Then you have JTSO2. This is one of the interesting ones because he is on a modification of the main strategies. He is running all soft tires. However, he is going one lap longer on every single stint than everyone else is. We're not really going to get an idea where that's going to put his car until the very end of the stint. We don't know if that's going to let him cut out a pit stop, or if he's not cutting out a pit stop, it might let him put onto a different set of tires later, or even if that's not the case, he may just end up being on better worn tires later in the event. Either way, he is trying to search out for some sort of advantage. JTS is one of the other drivers who is leading. I don't think JTS is going to be in position to win, but I could see JTS upsetting somebody with this alternate offset strategy and put himself in a podium spot. Then you have TRT Recon right here in 9th. They are also on the long run strategy. And then you have AFC Cypher, who's just been kind of struggling, hasn't really had any pace compared to his teammates in the other cars. You look down the bottom category, your leader right now is Rokin GTR. He is running the all-medium strategy, basically doing the same thing that Muzz is doing in the top class. Behind him is LMP Rockshock. Rockshock is doing the same thing that TNR Blade is doing in the top category. So we have two different categories, and they're both having the same kind of strategy battle. One driver doing a lot of soft tire stints, one driver doing a lot of medium tire stints. Don't really know how it's going to turn out. Third place is Crazy Cowlin. Crowlin did the first stint on soft tires, opened up a gap, but has since gone on to the medium tires and is trying to stay out a lot longer on the mediums to make something happen, but he will have to pit sooner rather than later. Anyway, fourth place is EVR Chris. Chris was in a decent position earlier, but while the strategy isn't bad, it just seems like he's not been able to do as well on the pit in and pit out lapping. He's kind of fallen out of the top positions. Then you have this absolute glut of cars. 3 drivers with FLR Benendium, FFR Kelchan, and UDP Valkyrie all on top of each other. In 18th place, that is Chris Hokage. They've kind of recovered, but not really. It's just not been a great time for the pink Porsche whatsoever. And SPV Sargent, I think he's been involved in some instances that I've just not been able to catch, but he has fallen way off pace compared to the rest of the GT category. Rokin and Crazy Cowlin have both elected to pit on this lap here, so that gives the lead in the GT category back over to LMP Rockshock. So it is TNR Blade, followed by ESV Muzz and EVR Blue Streak in the top 3 positions on track right now. 4th place is AFMG Form. 5th place is LMP Dragon, who still holds station over Chaos Fox. Yes, for the moment. He's not had it for very long, but he wants to hold on to it as long as possible. A little bit of contact there. Shunts the 827 just a bit wide. It should be good for now, though. All right, drivers who have been going soft all the way through, will likely see them pitting either this lap or next lap. Dragon defends the inside. Chaos Fox goes to the outside. Dragon hits the inside wall a bit. Now, it's a bit of a glancing blow. We've seen much harder hits, so that one shouldn't cause them any damage. They're wide on exit, and we see Chaos Fox falls back in line behind Dragon as they go down the front straightaway. Guess about nose to tail. Okay, looking at the inside. Nothing there. Oh! But it looks like Dragon may have backed out a bit, and Chaos Fox went for a really early apex. Dragon went for more of a later apex, and the crossover meant that they hit nose to rear in the middle of the corner. Well, I think one thing that's happened to Chaos Fox is that he just doesn't really have the advantage that he did early on. Those first 10 minutes, Chaos Fox opened up a big lead because every spot from second on back was just in a knife fight, absolutely going chaotic here. But then Dirty Air started getting on the nose of the car once TNR Blade finally calmed and got by him. And it seems like in Dirty Air, Chaos Fox is just nowhere near as good as he was in Clean Air. And Chaos Fox has spent almost every lap of the event fighting with somebody, either trying to keep someone behind him or keep someone ahead of him. He's not really been able to focus on lap times for a good chunk of this race. And I think that's been the big thing that has kind of derailed his runs out here today. TNR Blade pitting. Oh! And that was Dragon into the dirt. This might give Chaos Fox an option here. Our top top four all pit. Is this going to be the entire field pitting? This might be the entire prototype field pitting here. Chaos Fox could not make the move on Dragon, but I anticipate they're both going to be pitting this time. Yep, this is going to be just about the entirety of the prototype field except for JTSO2 pitting this time by. JTSO2 and Rottweilers got into it, but JTSO2 has cleared Rottweilers using the tire advantage that he has. Again, remember, JTSO2 trying to do something way different from everyone else strategy-wise. Already, TNR Blade coming out of pit lane. He's already clear of JTSO2, and Blade is on softer tires. But again, JTSO2 is just a little bit behind Blade. He still has another pit stop to make, but JTSO2's strategy, while I don't think it's going to get him a win, I think he could end up stealing third place in this event from EVR Blue Streak. Yeah, so the reason why Muzz was paying the same time as the soft tire cars, roughly, within this, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more technical with how the way the tires work out in this game. Typically, if your soft tires can go 10 laps, your medium tires can go 50% farther. So your medium tires would go 15 laps. And then, if your soft tires can go 10 laps, your hard tires typically can go twice as far. So your hard tires can go 20 laps under the same conditions with all things the same, basically. So what that means is that when you do a little bit of mathematics, 3 runs on soft tires would be equivalent to 2 runs on medium tires, and you'd want to pit at the same time anyway. A little bit of mathematics, look at it like this. If your soft tires only last for 15 minutes, and your medium tires are lasting for about 22 minutes, 3 stints on the soft tires, that's 15 plus 15 plus 15, that's 45 minutes. 2 stints on the medium tires, that'd be 22 plus 22, that's 44 minutes. It's only a 1 minute offset around a track like Sebring, which is a lot longer than a minute around. It's going to end up being roughly the same. So roughly, every 3 stints you do on medium tires, somebody on soft tires, someone on the medium tires could get away with just 2 stints. That's why we saw Muzz and Blade pitting on the exact same laps. But the big thing, though, is that Blade is well clear of Muzz because Muzz has to spend more time in the pit lane as he has to put more fuel in the tank as they have to make sure they have enough fuel to use up the entire time on the medium tires. That's one of the downsides about being on the harder tire compound. When you are, although you'll be in pit lane less, you will not be going into pit lane more. You will be spending more time on pit lane, and you're going to be a little bit slower when you come out because not only do you have the harder tires, you have all that extra weight in the car, really slowing it down, really chugging it down, just making it a pain in the rear to try and get up to speed. That does mean, though, that your times are just going to keep getting better and better and better with the medium tires, and they're going to keep getting better a lot longer. Well, it wasn't the same thing. I happened to do a race at Road Atlanta about a week ago. Found in that scenario, while the soft tires were peaking at about 16, 17 laps in, and then, well, about 15 laps in, then they fall off. The medium tires just kept getting faster and faster, and the mediums at about lap 18, 19 were saying the same times as the soft tires were pitting back on 15. Obviously, Road Atlanta is a completely different track, but it goes to show you the way that the performances change. It's not just, oh, medium tires are slower but pit less. There's a lot of weird mathematics that come down into it and make for a lot of weird and interesting things. The thing is for Muzz, though, is that now he's got a lot of gap between himself and TNR Blade. Now, Blade's going to end up burning up his tires nice and quick here, although he has pretty much disposed of JTSO2. He's not going to be under threat from him. TNR Blade is going to burn up his tires really quick. Muzz is going to be able to stay out for a while, but still something to consider here. And again, the wild card is going to be JTS02, because he is on this wild alternate strategy where he is going basically an entire lap later than everyone else who has been going all softs all the way through. I'm really interested to see where that strategy is going to play out at. In the bottom category, though, your leader right now is LMP Rockshock. Rockshock started on softer tires, but he has since jumped on to medium tires, so I think he's done one stint on the softs to open up a big gap early on, and now he is running the harder tire compounds to try and open up a bit of a gap on other people on track. I could be reading it wrong, but that's what it seems like is the case. Second place is Rokin GTR. He is at 27.6% tire wear. I look at Rockshock right now. Rockshock tire wear is at 48.8%. So we still will see Rockshock pitting soon, and when he does, that will likely give the lead, not by a lot, but will likely give the lead back to Rokin. And then you have EVR Chris, who is in 13th, and then Crazy Cowlin in 14th. They're also on a bit of a strategy off pace right now. This is the fight for third between Blue Streak and Vorm. Blue Streak leads this little fight in third. Vorm is fourth. And I said earlier, I didn't know if Vorm would be able to catch Blue Streak, but I do think that while Blue Streak is on the same strategy as Blade, Blue Streak seems to be struggling a little bit more with tire fall off. Vorm not doing as bad with the tire fall off. It might be enough to put this Bentley back into a podium position. But again, we don't really know how it's going to turn out. Vorm, 23.2% on his most worn tire. I look at Blue Streak. Blue Streak's most worn tire is at 23.6%. So they're pretty even on tire life right now, but again, that shouldn't be the way it goes. Oh, here comes the move to the inside by Vorm. Neck and neck, Bentley versus BMW. Who goes deeper into the braking zone? It will be Vorm. Does the BMW try a crossover? No, in fact, he actually runs wide and almost is into the grass. But like I was saying, it shouldn't be that way. The BMW doesn't have the top end. That means that if you're not going as fast as a straight line, you're not carrying as much speed into the corners. If you're not carrying as much speed into the corners, you can speed in less time on the brakes, and it also means that you're going to be burning up the front tires a little bit less. The fact that these two cars are going through tires at the same rate really suggests that EVR Blue Streak, well, obviously, I would assume that, you know, you just gotta deal with what you have. They don't have control of their own tunes. They just aren't really having a great time adapting to the setup given to them. I don't know if they're not happy with the brakes or if there's something else, but they're doing as good as they can, but compared to other drivers, they just can't seem to really maximize the tire life on this setup right now. So now I think that's one of the main reasons we've now seen Vorm get by Blue Streak. Muzz has worked his way up into the fourth position now. And JTSO2 continuing his wild alternate strategy. He's in relatively clean air. Spending a lot of time now in relatively clean air. I'm still really curious as to where this guy's going to come out. He is the one doing a strategy no one else seems to be thinking of. I really hope he gets a podium because I want to interview him and talk with him once the stint is over. Well, all right, Rockshock now going ahead and jumping back into the pit lane. So we should see Roken in the BMW go back to the lead here in the bottom category. It won't be by much. Every time this has happened, Roken hasn't led by a big margin over RockShox. If anything, I feel like every time it's happened, the gap that he's been leading by has been getting smaller and smaller. But he will still be leading for a little bit longer, as Roken has just been going all mediums throughout. RockShox put on some softer tires earlier, but now he has adjusted onto the medium tires. And that's what your gap looks like now. Crazy Cowlin still runs in third position. Remember, he was another driver. He started on the softs, but I think he went soft, medium, medium right now, if I remember correctly. No, I don't think I do. No, he did start on softs because everyone started on softs, but he's been going mediums and going long on the mediums since. RockShox, I believe, went soft, medium. Roken has been doing, I believe, only mediums, or either that, or no, I think his never mind. His current stint might be on softs. I'm starting to get it all messed up here in my head now. Well, we look back at Vorm and Blue Streak here. It's a little bit farther back. This is about midfield in the GT category. This is Kelchan and Benidium. Someone else noticed this in the comments, so I have to say thank you for that. But it's Kelchan running right ahead of Benidium right now. Chevrolet versus Porsche. Now again, Chevy and Porsche should be relatively even, all things considered, but we do not know what the downforce setup is on the Porsche. Reminder, the Forza arrow on the Porsche, you have a little bit higher numbers. We don't know. That information reasonably has not been shared with us. But the Porsche may have a bit of a downforce advantage, so we're keeping an eye on that. Big thing, though, is that Benidium is absolutely pulled on Kelchan there. 32% wear on the Porsche. I look at Kelchan, who is in this Chevrolet. They are at 30.4% wear right now. So Chevy has a tire advantage, but not by a whole lot right now. Just a little bit behind him is the Dodge of UDP Valkyrie. Valkyrie had been right on top of this fight a little bit earlier, but as it's gone on, it seems like they've just dropped off the pace a little bit here. More prototypes coming up into the fray. And you'll see this little battle coming up here in just a moment. There go your prototypes. That is Vorm and Blue Streak going by them. But for the moment, it looks like Benidium has Kelchan's number. As we look back to the fight for second, well, more like a stalking battle for second. Blue Streak's just trying desperately to hold on to Vorm right now. Roken pits out of the lead now in the GT category, and he does that with about 42 minutes left. You do the mathematics, that would mean for Roken, he could probably go medium, and not really push the tires too far after this. That would make it a nice round, roughly 4-stop strategy for him. So keep an eye on Roken regarding that. I still think RockShox is going to have the bottom category win. I think Roken's likely going to lock up second. Third will either go to Cowlin or Chris. Not really sure how that's going to turn out. The fight for second is really the fight for the win as well, but the fight for second is going to be interesting here in prototypes as well. So for something a little bit different, as we come to a Twitch-mandated ad break, we're going right on board the Kobayashi Dragon Maid Dodge of UDP Valkyrie for a lap. We'll be back momentarily here at Sebring. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back here to Sebring. We are a little bit over an hour through Stint 2 here. We just spent a lap on board with UDP Valkyrie, who sometimes is nice enough to take time out of their racing to go ahead and do broadcasting for TORA, and we appreciate that. While we were away, though, our leaders went ahead and pitted, which gave the lead back to ESV Muzz. Now, Muzz is likely going to be paying the next 5 or 6 laps as well. They also have some engine damage, so any chance that Muzz had of trying to make this strategy work is now in significant jeopardy, as they are running with engine damage, which is going to make their lap time slower, and I don't know how accurate that engine damage number is because it keeps flipping all over the place. But any engine damage that he has is going to put him in a very bad position when it comes to trying to run down on TNR Blade. Blade has shown a lot of performance and a lot of ability in TORA Enduros before, but the ability to close out and actually get a stint win is very, very difficult. Not possible, but it's very difficult. If Blade could go out and say, hey, I beat an ESV driver in a TORA stint, it would be a great thing for him to be able to say, but I don't know if it's going to happen. The fight between Muzz and Blade is one of those long-standing strategy battles. It's my favorite kind because you spend most of the time understanding where everything is. You have the knowledge of where everything is, but you don't really know how things are going to turn out. You can hit traffic, and that can take time away. You can get a little bit of engine damage like Muzz has gotten. That can take a little bit of time away. You know, accidentally butchering a pit stop entry or an exit out of the pit can turn it. There are a lot of small dramatic things that can potentially add up, and you don't really see where it shakes out into the last 10% of a run. So that's why I'm really interested to see how this is going to turn out. The other thing to keep an eye on, JTS02 continuing his own unique strategy. He is running nice and long on the softer tires, longer than everybody else. Now, right now, he's in a little bit of a frustrating position. He's got a tire disadvantage running behind 2 drivers, Vorm and Blue Streak, who are podium contenders. But here's the thing, JTS02 should be confident with this because this means that on merit, he is going to be on track to bring home a podium position if everything goes right. This could go very well for JTS02, even if he doesn't catch these guys this time. Kelchamp, Benendium, and Valkyrie, those 3 have been in the fight for most of the day. They all have just selected to pit at the exact same time right now as well. Chris Hokage and SPV Sergeant also have been fighting neck and neck for a while. They're both going to jump into the pit lane at the same time. So just for a little bit, ESV Muzz is going to be on a track that is going to be completely clean, nobody around him. So to try and neutralize some of his engine damage, you can just try and focus on sheer lap time and sheer pace here. But this little 3-driver battle, Form, Blue Streak, and JTSO2. Form and Blue Streak are on the same strategy. They're legitimately fighting against each other. JTSO2 is on an alternate strategy. He has to be thoughtful about if/when he makes the moves here. Because he has to protect his tires, because he's pushing his tires much farther than I think they were rated to be pushed for. Much farther than I believe the setup was designed for. You're going to go ahead and navigate around AFZ Cypher, last place in the prototypes there. Well, though, they still haven't navigated around him. It's taking a lot longer to get around that Toyota than you think it would. Oh, a little bit of contact! You could hear JTSO2 give Blue Streak a little bit of a shove in the rear. He's like, come on, get on with it! You're holding me up! And that's your leader in GT that they're going around right now. Oh! Rock shock off into the dirt just a little bit. But that will make things just slightly easier there for this group. TRT Recon's going to pit out of the 9th position now. Crazy Cowlin's also gone ahead and made their next stop. No big moves here. This seems to be more closer to a prolonged, large stalking battle here between Vorm, Blue Streak, and JTSO2. Because now that Vorm has gotten by Blue Streak, it's not like he scooted off into the distance. Blue Streak stayed right with them. And JTSO2, again, weren't running on much more worn tires as he is on an alternate strategy. I think JTS just wants to keep up with these guys, use the draft to try and squeak him some extra lap time out right now. JTS just wants to make it to where when he comes back out on track afterwards, he's in completely clean air, isn't being held up by anything. We look at JTS's tire life right now, he's at 60%. I think he'll try and go another lap. If he can go another lap, though, it'll take him down to about 50 minutes. 50 minutes left. If he really was feeling risky, he could go ahead and go medium to the end. Considering how good he has been at saving tires. But, oh, you can see his laps really starting to fall off now. He lost a bunch of time just in the final corner there. But again, clean-ish ahead of him. If those two prototypes ahead of him are going to rush off into the distance, that's not the worst thing ever. Because it's not like he's about to be caught and harassed by somebody. There is LMP Dragon behind who is running him down. But that's a long way back. AFC Cypher may pose a little bit more of a threat, but Cypher is a lap down. Oh! As I said, Dragon deep off into the dirt there. And if you think he's not having a good time, Chaos Fox started up front, had a big lead in the first 10 minutes, and that's all gone. And now it looks very likely that he's not even going to finish in the top 5 by the end of this. It's just not been working out at all for him today. He's now fallen behind AFZ Rottweilers, who is running the same strategy that ESV Muzz is running at the head of the field. And speaking of which, Muzz has been caught by TNR Blade. A look at Muzz, the engine damage. It says 9.9%. He'll have to pit this time, though, even without the engine damage, just because of the tire wear. And Blade right behind Muzz all over again. What is Blade's tires looking like? 28.8%. He is fine on tires right now. So we're likely going to see the lead change once again. That'll be an easy overtake for Blade. I said, there we are. I was like, you should be by him by now. Well, he's by him this time. And we'll see Muzz jump into the pits this time by as well. JTSO2 making their stop now as well. So Muzz is pitted and JTSO2 are pitted. Those are two of the drivers on alternate strategies. Blade is on what we're calling the primary strategy. Meanwhile, in the bottom category, your leader is LMP Rockshock still. He's got 39% on his most worn tire. Second place is Rokin GTR, trying to make an alternate strategy work, but I just don't see it panning out for him. He's got 40.8% on his most worn tire. So they're pretty close on tire wear right now. Then third place is EVR Chris, who's also only made 3 stops up to this point. His most worn tire, 64%. He's going to have to come at the end of this lap. Rottweilers is going to go ahead and pit this time as well now. So everything's really calmed down and settled down for the most part. There are some areas where we have something like battles, like here is this. Valkyrie has been caught by Crazy Cowlin now. Cowlin trying to run for a podium result. Valkyrie's just kind of been running midfield, so I'm curious to see how long it's going to take for this overtake to happen. Excuse me. But LMP Dragon, for the moment, is now up into 4th. That's the highest that he's been for a while, but a lot of it is just because drivers on alternate strategies have gone ahead and pitted. I don't think Dragon is seriously in any contention for a podium result. I think the fight for the win is going to be between Blade and Muzz, and I think Blade may have the advantage, and I think the fight for third is going to be JTSO2 versus Vorm versus Blue Streak. And I have no idea who's going to have the advantage there. In GT, I think Rockshock's going to win this by default. I think Rokin will likely come home second. But third place could go between Cowlin or Chris. I'm not really sure which way that's going to go. As we're watching Cowlin now, I was focusing on Valkyrie. I should have been focusing on Cowlin. I'm going to watch Cowlin and see where he ends up in relation to Chris. Chris is already coming out of pit lane right now. So Chris is still clear of Cowlin. I think that might be enough to help sell things in Chris's direction at least. He is running right behind Kelchan at the moment, but Kelchan's already burnt up these tires a bit on a more aggressive, I believe something closer to an all-soft strategy. 30 minutes left. If you wanted to, you could pit now, and then pit again in 15 minutes and not have to worry again. But while we're in this bit of a calmer period of the run, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to focus on this battle. I'm going to knock out another Twitch ad break in a little bit, but I want to focus on this for a little bit here. As Benindium and Chris are going at it. Benindium in the Porsche goes around the outside Chris and holds the position for the moment. Benindium in the 444 Porsche moves up to 4th on track overall right now over Chris. Again, strategies are all kind of all over the place right now. He has shown quite a bit of punch and power today. All right, as we're coming down to it, I'm going to ride on board for a lap on board with the Porsche of Benindium. We've not really ran on board with a Porsche today, if I remember correctly. We'll be back momentarily here at Sebring. We have about 28.5 minutes left here in Stint 2 for the C Lobby of TORA's 12-Hrs of Sebring. We'll be back momentarily. All right, and that was a lap on board with the Porsche of Benedium, but while we've been away, the fight between Vorm and Blue Streak has heated up a bit. Vorm is starting to slip a bit, and Blue Streak is going back on the offensive. 60% wear on the rear tires of that Bentley. I look at Blue Streak, though, their most worn tire, only 59%. So you can definitely say that Vorm has really gotten on it, has really been trying to push to try and get by and away from Blue Streak. I would argue it worked for a bit. He did open up a gap on Blue Streak, but now the Rooster has come home to, I should not use that metaphor. The Rooster has come to crow at the morning sun, and Blue Streak is coming back. They're going to be right on top of each other as they're coming into pit lane. TNR Blade, your leader, is also coming into pit this time as well. Yep, here we go. Vorm's coming in. Blue Streak's coming in. I imagine we'll see Dragon and Chaos Fox come in as well. Here's going to be the real question. Muzz had damaged his engine earlier. Where is Muzz now going to end up in relation to these other drivers? We know he's going to be behind Blade because the gap that Blade has is massive. But how close is Muzz going to be in relation to Blue Streak and Vorm? Blue Streak, Vorm, swapping position in pit lane real quickly. Actually, I want to watch Blue Streak and Vorm as they come out. Oh my gosh, these two are right on top of each other on pit out. This is going to be so frustrating for them. But it does look like it's Vorm who's just barely ahead of Blue Streak. And there you'll see Muzz going by, along with the lap prototype of Cypher as well. Muzz holding on to second. So he'll be clear of these drivers. Oh, Blue Streak into the dirt. Not a great line coming out of here. Traffic's really holding up Vorm here and keeping him from getting away. Finally, he just hip-checked. Boy, he just got aggressive and said, I've had enough. And he just hip-checked Cypher off the line there. But Vorm Vorm still stays ahead of Blue Streak for the moment. Now, Vorm was in this position earlier, but got really aggressive on the tires, burnt up the tires, and just kind of pulled up a bit of a gap. But now that these two are basically even on tires, Blue Streak trying to work the outside, just about side by side there. Could not make it stick. The BMW just doesn't have that sheer straight line speed. It needs to try and catch the Bentley off guard in a corner, ideally one of the slower corners. Nothing there quite yet. All right, does Blue Streak have an answer for Vorm, though? We saw before they came into the pits. I'm doing fine, thank you for asking. Before they came into the pits, Blue Streak started harassing Vorm. It was in this corner that they were right on top of each other. But now they're both on fresher tires. Is there anything that can be done here? A little bit farther back is JTSO2. He now has to deal with lap traffic in the form of AFZ Cypher. Ooh, sideways moment from Vorm there. Not enough to let Blue Streak get back up alongside. 22 minutes left. If you wanted to, you could pit now and throw on mediums to go to the end. That's what we see FLR Benindium doing. That's what UDP Valkyrie is doing. If any other prototypes pit now, they'll probably be putting on medium tires to go to the end of the race. Chris Hokage is pitting now as well. So those drivers, Benindium, Valkyrie, Hokage, they're all saying, hey, we're not making any more pit stops, barring accidents that we suffer. We're not making any more pit stops to the end here. He asked about nose to tail between this duo. And that is Muzz that they've caught again. But reminder, Muzz is on an alternate strategy. He's been going a lot more aggressive on the mediums. The game still says he has engine damage. If he still does have engine damage, this is going to be a fight for second, because that means Muzz is not going to be able to compete with Blade. I'm hoping that that's a hiccup on Forza's telemetry, but it seems to suggest that Muzz's engine problems are still there. He makes contact with Vorm! We'll lose some critical time in the process. And now he's got Blue Streak behind him. Blue Streak looking to the outside in that BMW. So all three manufacturers represent in this fight for second, third, and fourth right now. The BMW should be able to break nice and deep into the corner. Contact again. Muzz sideways. Blue Streak went through the dirt. It's great news for Vorm because he was not held up at all, but he's not able to get away. So he still needs a bit of a draft there for Blue Streak to catch. And Blue Streak is able to use that to close back in just a little bit more. If they keep this up, it might work things out for JTS02, who is in completely clean air right now. Next car is up the road for him is this group of cars all fighting. Been watching this battle for some time. Oh, contact right into the rear of the Porsche goes Vorm. And now we see Blue Streak go through. Is there any damage to the Bentley? No, he still continues, and now he comes back with a huge head of steam down the back straightaway. Can he clear the BMW? He's got the inside line, but won't have as good of a braking line. He goes deep. The BMW is going to slide wide on entry. Try to cross him over on exit. Not quite enough speed in that thing to naturally do that, and already they've disposed of Muzz. I'm not sure if that's tires or if it's just that really is that kind of catastrophic engine damage to Muzz. Bit of a sideways moment from the Bentley. Kind of hang the rear end out. Blue Streak looking. Does he get a run on the inside? He's there on the inside. How deep do you go under braking side by side? Just a little bit of a touch between the two of them. But the Bentley's able to put the power down and rocket out of the corner without too much issue. Barely holding on to the position for just a little bit longer. They're in a bit of clean air. A spot of clean air for a little bit longer now. Again, Vorm hanging the rear end out. I have to wonder if Vorm is just doing most of the steering in that Bentley with the rear of the car, and that's why he's burning up the rear end so much, because it seems like the rear end is constantly sliding out on him. Not in an out-of-control way, but more like he's trying to forcibly break traction to twist the car around some of the corners, and I wonder if that is why he's burning up the rear tires the way he is. And as these two continue to fight, this really works out well in JTS02's favor, because JTS is still in relatively clean air, which is exactly what he needs. All right, now Vorm has opened up a bit of a gap on Blue Streak once again. So these two get to calm down for a little bit. In GT, it looks like RockShock is walking off with this without issue. He's got good tires. He should, if he's on mediums, these tires will take him to the end without problem. Roken runs into second position a long way back, but he's likely, well, if he's on mediums, he'll be able to go to the end, but I don't know. I have a feeling he may have to pit one more time. Then you have EVR Chris back here. He's third in category right now. Same position pretty much as Roken, but he's running around with a small amount of engine damage. Then 4th place is Crazy Cowlin in the Dutch Brothers. Well, it's not actually Dutch Brothers. I checked the IRA Discord. It's not actually Dutch Brothers. The paint is inspired from a Euro football, Euro soccer team. But remind me of Dutch Brothers. But they are running 4th right now. They will likely be painted at the end of the lap. We'll throw on some soft tires to go to the end here. With that in mind, let's go ahead and keep an eye on this fight, because it looks like Blue Streak is still harassing Vorm. We're going to do one more ad break here, and once this ad break is done, we'll stay with what's going on track from now until the checkered flag. And we're going to ride this final ad break on board with Blue Streak here, because I don't think this duo is going to be pitting this lap. So yeah, we're going to ride on board for a full lap with Blue Streak, see if he can do anything to Vorm. We'll be back momentarily here at Sebring. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sebring here. TRT Recon has now gone a lap down after he has made his final stop. This fight is still going. TNR Blade is still just absolutely gone off in his own zone. About 14 minutes left in the run. Tires are just about to completely fall off for Blade, Vorm, and Blue Streak, so we'll likely see these three pit shortly. The question is going to be, where are they going to be in relation to this driver here, ESV Muzz? Muzz is likely going to have to pit as well. If that engine damage is accurate, he's really going to have to pit. I think it goes pretty clear to me, at least, that Muzz is not going to be contending for this stint win. Had a good strategy, but constantly torpedoing the engine is just not going to help whatsoever. Muzz is going to be fighting for a podium result against Vorm, Blue Streak, and maybe JTSO2. I believe JTSO2 has already committed to their final stop. They are now on fresh tires to the end. So, well, fresher tires to the end. So we're going to keep an eye on where JTSO2 ends up in relation to Vorm, Blue Streak, and Muzz, as those three are all right on top, well, pretty close to being all right on top of each other right now. But Vorm still has maintained the position over Blue Streak for a while. Both of them are able to show more pace than what they have, but every time they do, they just destroy their tires in the process. When they finally make their final stop, they won't have to worry about destroying tires. We'll likely see this duo up their pace just a little bit more when they finally make this final stop, which should be, I'd imagine, at the end of this lap. And that is your leader in bomb category, LMP Rockshock, just ahead of this duo there. Yep, here we go. Vorm's coming in. Blue Streak's coming in. Does Muzz join them? Muzz does not join them. Muzz is going to stay out a little bit longer. LMP Dragon Pit. I imagine Chaos Fox would consider pitting as well. But yeah, Muzz, despite being on very worn out tires, did not pit. Bold strategy, Patton. Let's see how it plays out. JTSO2 will not have to worry about pitting either. But is he close enough to even capitalize on Blue Streak and Vorm being in the pits? I'm not so sure he'll be able to. He'll clear Chaos Fox, clear Dragon without issue. That's not a surprise to anyone, but he is nowhere close to Blue Streak or Vorm. Well, it looks like JTS's strategy just did not work out. He's now at a tire disadvantage going forward. He's cut out a pit stop, but he's at a tire disadvantage. I guess all the time he's lost for being out an extra lap has all just worked against him. It's a shame because JTSO2, I would argue, has put on the most interesting strategy choice, but it's just not played out for him. TNR Blade, your leader, hitting this time by. This might, I think this will put Recon back on the lead lap. Cypher has no chance of getting back on the lead lap, but Recon will be put back onto the lead lap here. And ESV Muzz is just nowhere close enough to really capitalize on Blade being in the pits. And Muzz, if he does have that engine damage, which I believe he does, he'll have to pit at this lap anyway. But it is still Blue Streak and Vorm going at it. So this will likely be the fight for second place on track. Yep, here's Muzz into the pits now. So he's definitely going to end up behind this duo. So this is the fight for second and third on the podium. The primary strategy, the one that Blade, Blue Streak, and Vorm is on, seems to be the winning strategy by far. It's pretty much regardless of what manufacturer you're running with as well. That was fantastic. Blue Streak with an expert navigation of traffic gets around the Porsche, uses the Porsche to hold up the Bentley a bit, and now Blue Streak goes into second position again. With less than 10 minutes left, remember, tire fall off isn't going to be too much of an issue for these duo. This could get interesting here. JTSO2 has actually ended up ahead of Muzz as well. But again, not close enough to do anything to these three. So it looks like we're going to have two BMWs, and then a Bentley, and then another BMW. The highest Toyota looks like it's going to be way down in fifth in the prototype category. Don't worry, C480. You definitely got plenty of screen time in the prior stint. All right, more traffic, no issue. In fact, Blue Streak really is just pulling away from Vorm now. So, for whatever reason, Vorm is just kind of falling apart here at the end. I think Blue Streak is going to hit the afterburners, really showing off the pace that they have. Now that they know that there's no tire issue, they can just go full beans to the wall to the end here. So with that in mind, I would argue that pretty much every prototype position has been resolved. In the GT category, it's pretty much the same case. Every GT position has been resolved at this stage of the event. So with about 8 minutes left, everything's really calmed down. Everyone's just kind of settled down. As long as Blue Streak or Vorm or JTSO2 don't make a mistake, I think every single position on track is resolved. And I've got to say for Blade, it's been a while since he's won one of these TORA Enduros. A stint in a TORA Enduro. He's had plenty of ability. He knows how to finish these and finish these well. He's very good, especially in these mid-tier lobbies, at getting great results. But pulling off a stint win is a little bit hard. Blade is on track for an absolute dominant performance here. While on strategy, looks like he was being challenged earlier. As it went on, that challenge just kind of withered away on the line. And Blade is going to take this stint home with a monstrous gap. Not to mention, Blade did bring home a pretty respectable run back in stint 1 as well. So I don't know if this will be enough to put them on top overall, but it will put them at least very close to the top overall in that number 78 BMW prototype. Then you'll have Blue Streak Not teammates, obviously, but it's another BMW in second. Now, they've been burning up the tires, really struggling. They had, from my perspective at least, it looked like they kind of backed off a bit, so they weren't burning up the tires. Now they don't have to worry about tires. They're able to just go full to the wall. They've been pulling away from Vorm and everybody else. Looks like it will be 1-2 BMW results. This is the lone Bentley in the podium position. The lone Bentley in the top 4 at that. Vorm has done a good job fighting, but it's just nothing has really worked out for him near the very end. He's been thinking, oh, I can fight. It is not what is going on here. Blue streak is slow. And all of a sudden, Vorm is right back up on him. There's no damage on the car, but Blue Streak must have been held up by some traffic, and now here comes Vorm back to the inside. It's not over for second. Drag race side by side as they go across the start-finish line. Blue Streak has the inside, Vorm has the outside, so Blue Streak should be able to go nice and deep under braking. Vorm's going to try the crossover on exit. Puts the power down. He gets the car ahead. And Vorm uses the crossover in turn 1 to get back in front of Blue Streak with just a bit over 6 minutes left here. All right, now back through the twisties, through the slower twisties once again. A little bit of traffic. Won't be too much of an issue, though. But now it's Vorm who has to keep Blue Streak behind again. Vorm defends the inside. Blue Streak goes really deep to the inside. There's a little bit of contact, wheel-to-wheel contact, more contact at the apex of the corner. And the BMW is sideways putting the power down. And the Bentley opens up a tiny gap on Vorm. Vorm can't afford to leave the door open like that again. If he does, Blue Streak's not going to hold back. He'll just charge in and run both of them off the racing line and then just try to get on the throttle earlier. He was lucky that Blue Streak was willing to back off and try to treat him respectfully, but I don't think he'll do that again. Vorm has to commit to closing that inside line a little bit more aggressively and a little bit sooner than what he did that time. All right, does Blue Streak have anything back for Vorm here? Draft will work in Blue Streak's favor here. Although Vorm has higher top end, Blue Streak will be brought to an artificially higher top end as well, running in the draft. Is he going to be close enough to try something like a crossover on the exit of the final corner? Not this time. He seems content to just run in Vorm's draft. Coming up on one more GT car, and then after that, it's going to be clean air for them for quite some time. Traffic won't be too much of an issue, but Blue Streak very nearly into the dirt just after they got by there. Blue Streak still holding the head of Vorm. They head under the bridge. All right, this is the corner where they got into it real aggressively last time. Blue Streak's not close enough to make that move. Also, Vorm actually defended the inside a little bit sooner that time. Just a bit of nose-to-tail stuff there going on. Not happening, not playing out. AFC Cypher pinning out last place in the podium category, so that's not really going to have an impact on anything. Pretty much all the other positions are mostly settled at this point. This is the most interesting battle on track with 3.5 minutes left. They have already swapped positions twice in this final 10 minutes. Are they going to do it one more time? Does Blue Streak have anything for Vorm? He's closer this time than he was before. This might be enough for him to try and throw it up the inside going into the final corner. Vorm moves over, defends kind of haphazardly. Blue Streak is there. Blue Streak's got the inside contact. He shunts Vorm off circuit. Contact between the two of them, and Vorm is shunted off the racing line by Blue Streak. Back down the start-finish line straight and into turn 1. Straight line speed for the Bentley. Lets him close right back in on the draft of Blue Streak. If they can stay like this, just about nose to tail when they get to the back straightaway, Vorm might still have something for Blue Streak here. Coming up on one more car, this should be the last bit of traffic I imagine that they'll hit in this stint. And it's not really going to have an impact on them whatsoever. They catch him on a straightaway. That is Roken, I believe, actually. Oh! He hit him from from behind! And they both missed the corner. Vorm broke too late, hit Blue Streak from behind. They both missed the corner. Well, it's gotten from intense to just a little bit sloppy, I feel. Both drivers feel like they're coloring a little bit out of the lines now. I hate using that term, coloring out of the lines. Yeah, Vorm is absolutely throwing the rear of that car around, just trying to rotate around the corners faster to try and make something up against Blue Streak. JTS02 still ahead of ESV Muzz, but he is nowhere close to this duo. As long as these two don't crash, they're fine. They're locked into second, third. The question is going to be who's going to be second, who's going to be third here. Coming up on prototype traffic, which is not something I imagined they were anticipating. That would be AFZ Cypher. Cypher's going to end up giving a bit of a draft to Blue Streak, which will make it the job harder for Vorm. And they're clear of him. 1 minute left. They will not complete the entire lap. And once they get out of turn one, the rest of the circuit favors Blue Streak. That may have been all it takes for Blue Streak to pull off second here. 50 seconds left into the second heavy braking zone of the circuit. There's going to be one more straight, but Vorm has to be right underneath Blue Streak to try and make use of it. He is not right underneath Blue Streak. He's close, but he is not close enough. And there's no traffic up the road for him to take advantage of. 30 seconds left under the next heaviest braking zone here. Vorm completely lost it there. Yep, that's over. Went way too aggressively, and instead of using the rear end to try and turn the car around, he nearly spun the car out. That fight's over. So it will be a BMW 1-2 result here at Sebring in the prototype category. As time's up, over, plow, as we see our winner, TNR Blade, come to a stop in the final corner. He is going to be your winner for Stint 2. A little bit of controversy here. It looks like Vorm went into the grass when he stopped and skidded into the dirt. I imagine he'll back up to go back behind Blue Streak where he should be. Because second place will go to EVR Blue Streak. Third place will go to AFMG Vorm. Fourth place will go to JTS02. Fifth place will go to ESV Muzz. Although this one might also be up in the air. We'll have to take another look at that. But I think JTS may have barely kept it over Muzz. Sixth place will go to LMP Dragon. Seventh place will go to Chaos Fox CR2. Eighth place will go to AFZ Rottweilers. Ninth place will go to TRT Recon, who barely stays on the lead lap. And 10th place will go to AFC Cypher, last of the prototypes still running at the end. In the bottom category, LMP RockShox pulls off another fantastic win. We see these LMP guys do it a lot, especially RockShox here in the bottom categories. Relkin GTR will come home a distant second, then an even more distant third place will go to EVR Chris 17. Fourth place just behind him will be FFR Kelchan. 15th will be Crazy Callan. We thought he had more pace, but it all just seemed to wither away late in the event. 16th place will go to UDP Valkyrie. 7th place will go to Chris Hokage, first of the lap GT cars. But hey, it wasn't last place. It was looking really rough for them earlier. FLR Benindium will be coming home in 8th in category, and 9th and last in category GT will be SPV Sargent. So with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and take a Twitch mandated ad break, and when we come back, we'll try to get some post-stint interviews with some of our top finishers here at Sebring. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Sebring. Stint 2 out of 6 is over. The event is 1/3 of the way done, and we're going to try and reach out to some of our top finishers and see if they have anything they want to say about their runs out there today. All right, coming into the party right now is LMP Rockshock. Let's see here if he can hear me. Give it just a bit. I know sometimes the transition from Discord, where the audio chat is being run out, to here can sometimes cause people problems. Rockshock, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
All right. Rockshock, can you include your audio in the Xbox party?
I can sure try, yeah. Okay, I got it.
All right. Well, Rockshock, it was a fantastic walk-off to the victory there. Dominant performance. How in the world did you pull that off?
Well, me and the team practiced on Thursday, and we just worked on strategy, and yeah, just basically got a really good strategy going with Amoeba, and we worked it out.
All right. It was a great job out there. I do want to ask, who's going to take over the car for Stint 2?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I can check really quick. That would be Kart Racer.
All right. Kart Racer, it seems. All right. In that case, mate, thanks for jumping in, talking with us. We'll go ahead and let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day. Maybe we'll get to see you again. If so, that would be nice. But thanks for talking with us.
Yep, no problem. You have a good one.
Yep. Oh, hello. Vorm, can you hear me? AFMG Vorm, can you hear me? All right. I assume your audio is already included in the party, since it seems like your party is also being streamed. Vorm, interesting time out there. Brought it home to a top 3 result, but got really messy and really aggressive there at the end. What in the world happened that kind of caused that degradation at the very end of that race? Because there was a lot of door baiting and bumper baiting near the end.
I think we just got a little bit excited.
A little bit excited is definitely one way to put it. Do you think there's anything different you could have done to change the result out there?
Look, not really. So, both myself and Blue Streak were racing hard, so, yeah, it was a good race. So, I commend him on his pace, so he held with me and definitely kept me honest, that's for sure.
All right, I do want to ask who's going to be taking over that Bentley in Stint 3.
Yep, Ozzy's going to be taking it over again. Hopefully he doesn't DC this round.
Yeah, here's hoping, fingers crossed, mate, because while I enjoy talking with him, I don't enjoy talking with somebody, before we even get to halfway into the event.
I know, it was disappointing. I was watching it, so, but look, we'll make up as much ground as possible. So, we've got the pace there, so we'll do it.
All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. We look forward to seeing what the rest of your team can do going forward.
No worries. Thanks, Insane.
All right. Next up, so they're still recording distance, so there may be a little bit of a delay before we can get anything from Blade or Blue Streak. We have already tried to reach out to a few other groups, but a few other people, they've not been able to say anything for us yet. But right now, from what I understand, they're probably going to be recording the final distance for everything here. Will make things a little bit easier, I would imagine, because TNR Blade is so close to the start-finish line. Typically, the very last thing for distance measurement that TORA does is that they get the stint winner in the top category to just drive to the next mile marker or finish the lap up, and Blade's so close to finishing the lap anyway, so it should make it relatively easy for him to do that. But yeah, Blade has sent a message saying that he'll do an interview once they finish gaining distance, so we'll do a short interview with Blade. I don't know if Blue Streak will join us, but we'll do a short interview with Blade. And then after that, what we will do is we will end this broadcast and we will jump into the other lobby. Actually, we should probably jump into the other lobby sooner rather than later if possible. I don't want to jump in there and then they start that up while I'm still trying to do interviews here if I can help it, but I'll jump in there anyway.